What time was it when the policeman was walking down the street?
It was almost 10 o'clock.
What was the weather like when the policeman was walking down the street?
The wind was chilly and a light rain fell.
What did the policeman do as he walked down the street?
He tried doors as he walked. He checked to see if they were locked.
Why were there few people out tonight?
Because the wind was chilly and a light rain fell.
What kind of businesses were still open when the policeman was walking down the street?
Now and then you might see the lights of a cigar store or an all-night diner.
Where did the policeman see a man standing?
He saw a man standing in the doorway of a darkened hardware store.
What was in the man's mouth when the policeman saw him?
There was an unlighted cigar in his mouth.
Okay, next page. Why did the police officer approach the man in the doorway?
Because he thinks the man is strange.
What did the man in the doorway say to the police officer?
He said, "It's all right, officer. I'm just waiting for a friend. We made an appointment 20 years ago." Sounds a little funny, doesn't it? I can explain. You see, there used to be a restaurant here.
Okay. Why did the man in the doorway say it sounds funny that he was waiting for his friend?
Because they made an appointment 20 years ago.
Right. So because it was a long time ago,
Yeah.
20 years to be exact. What did the police officer tell the man in the doorway about the restaurant?
He said it was torn down 5 years ago.
What did the man do after the police officer told him about the restaurant?
The man in the doorway struck a match and lit his cigar.
How did the light reveal the man's face?
The light showed a pale, square-jawed face. There was a scar near his right eyebrow.
Was there anything unusual about the man's face?
There was a scar near his right eyebrow.
Who did the man in the doorway dine with at the restaurant 20 years ago?
He dined at the restaurant with Jimmy Wells, his closest friend.
Okay, next page. Who are the two people that made a promise to meet each other again in 20 years?
Jimmy Wells and the man.
How old were the speaker and Jimmy when they made a promise?
They agreed they will meet here again exactly 20 years later.
Oh no. How old were the man and Jimmy when they made the promise? How old were the man and Jimmy when they made the promises?
The man was 18 and Jimmy was 20.
오케이, 그러니까 다시 물어볼게요. 이제 정확히 하자. How old were the man and Jimmy when they made the promise?
The man was 18 and Jimmy was 20.
Where did the man go after making the promise with Jimmy?
The next morning, he headed out west to make big money.
What did they promise each other when they agreed to meet again in 20 years?
They agreed they would meet here again exactly 20 years later.
Have the two friends kept in touch over the years?
Yes, they rode for a while, but after a year or two, they lost track of each other.
Why did they lose touch?
Because the man's work has kept him very busy.
Do you think it's essential to keep in touch with old friends?
Yes,
Why do you think so?
because I am loyal.
Why did a man come 1,000 miles to stand here tonight?
He came 1,000 miles to stand here tonight because he wants to see his friend Jimmy Wells.
Okay, and he wanted to keep the promise, right?
Yes.
Does the man think Jimmy will come to meet him?
Yes. He thinks Jimmy will meet him if he's alive
Why?
because he was always loyal.
Okay, next page. What did the man pull out?
The man pulled out a handsome watch.
Okay, 잘생긴 시계를. 응? 미남 시계를. 그랬군. What was on the lead of the watch?
Its lid was set with small diamonds.
What time did the man announce?
He announced 3 minutes to 10.
What time did they part at the door?
It was exactly 10 o'clock when they parted here at the store.
What did the man do pretty well?
He did pretty well out west.
Who did the man hope had done well too?
He hopes Jimmy has done well too.
Had done. Had done. 그치?
Yes.
그러니까 다시. Who did the man hope had done well too?
He hoped Jimmy had done well too.
How long did the man plan to wait for his friend?
At least of half an hour.
What did the policeman say before leaving?
He said good night.
Was Jimmy a slow or fast person?
He was a little slow person.
What did the man call the policeman?
He called the policeman officer.
Okay, next page. What happened to the wind on the street?
The wind began to blow more strongly.
How did the people on the street walk when the wind became stronger?
The wind became stronger. The few people on the street walked quickly, hands in their pockets.
Where did the man from the west smoke his cigar?
In the doorway of the hardware store, the man from the west smoked his cigar.
How long did the man from the west wait?
About 20 minutes he waited.
About 20 years?
20 minutes.
20 minutes? 20 seconds? That's right. Who came across the street in a hurry?
Then a tall man in an overcoat hurried across the street.
What did the tall man's color look like?
The collar of his coat was turned up to his ears.
Where did the tall man directly go?
He went directly to the waiting man.
Okay, who asked? Is that you, Bob?
The tall man asked.
Okay. And what did the man say?
The man said, "Is that you, Jimmy Wells?"
Okay, next page. How long has it been since the two men last saw each other?
They last saw each other 20 years ago.
What did the new arrival do when he saw the other man?
He grabbed the other man's hand.
What did the two men do after they greeted each other?
They talk about their life.
그리고
And they go to a place.
they started up the street.
They started up the street arm in arm.
Did Bob recognize Jimmy immediately when he saw him?
No.
No. 몰랐지?
Yeah.
Okay. At first, he didn't recognize him, right?
Yes.
How has Bob been since How has Bob been since he moved to the West?
He lived in the West 20 years ago.
그러니까 how has Bob been? 어떻게 지냈어? How has Bob been since he moved to the West?
Great. The West has given him everything he dreamed of.
Okay. 밥이 밥 잘 먹고 잘 사는 거야?
Yeah.
What did Jimmy say about his height?
He said, "I grew a couple of inches after I was 20.
What does Jimmy do for a living?
Yes, he works for city department.
What did Jimmy say about the old restaurant?
He said, "I'm afraid the old restaurant is gone now."
Okay. Where did Jimmy suggest they go to talk?
They go to a place the tall man know, and they'll have a nice long talk.
Okay. And then it was the police station. 이야기가 좋은 장소였어. 지금 거길 데려가려고 하는 거잖아, 지금.
Yeah.
속마음. What did the man from the west talk about during their conversation?
The man from the west spoke proudly about his success.
How did the other man respond to the man from the west?
The other listened with interest.
What did the other man do with his overcoat?
He kept his overcoat close to his face.
Why did the other man keep his overcoat close to his face?
Maybe he's not real.
He was not a man. 사람이 아니었기 때문에 사람이 아니었어. 로봇이었구나. AI였구나.
Maybe he's not real Jimmy.
Right. So he wanted to hide something, right?
Yes.
What did the two men do as they walked and talked?
The two men started up the street arm in arm.
Okay, next page. What did the drugstore look like?
At the corner stood a drugstore brilliant with electric lights.
What did the two men do when they entered the drugstore?
When they came into the lights, each man turned immediately to look at the other's face.
Okay. How did a man from the west know that the person he met was not Jimmy Wells?
20 years is a long time, but it's not long enough to change a man's nose from long and thin to short and flat.
Okay. What did the tall man say about the effect of time on a person?
The tall man said, "You've been under arrest for 10 minutes, Bob. The Chicago police told us that."
No. 자, effect, 시간의 effect, 시간의 영향, 시간의 흐름의 영향에 대해서 그 tallman이 뭐라고 말했냐?
The tall man
다시 물어볼게요. What did the tall man say about the effect of time on a person?
said, "It sometimes changes a good man into a bad one."
Right. Who wanted to have a chat with Bob?
The Chicago police like to have a chat with Bob.
Did the tall man give Bob a note?
Yes, he gave Bob a note.
Who was the note from?
It's from Officer Wells.
Did the tall man tell Bob to read the note immediately?
No, he said, "You may read it here at the window."
Okay. Did the tall man take Bob to the police station right away?
No, he gave Bob some time.
Right. So he said, now before we go to the station, here's a note for you. Right?
Yes.
Who gave Bob the note?
The tall man gave Bob the note
Okay. From?
from Officer Wells.
Right. Next page. What did the man from the west do when he unfolded the piece of paper?
The man from the west's hand was steady when he began to read.
Right. How did the man's hand look like when he finished reading the note?
It was trembling by the time he finished.
What was written in the note?
The note said, "Bob, I was at the appointed place on time. When you struck a match to light your cigar, I saw the face of the man wanted in Chicago. Somehow I couldn't arrest you myself, so I got a plainclothes man to do the job, Jimmy."
Okay. Why do you think the man from the west was trembling after reading the note?
He may be scared and he may be sad because his friend arrested him.
Okay, next page. Who is O. Henry and what is he famous for?
The American writer O. Henry is famous for his short stories.
Okay. How many twists does the story after 20 years have according to the writer's note?
The story has 3 twists actually.
What are the 3 twists in the story after 20 years?
First, Bob sees that the man he meets is not his old friend Jimmy. Second, Bob is arrested. And third, Bob reads the note. Bob reads the note and learns about Jimmy's role in his arrest.
According to the writer's note, what is the most important part of the story?
The note is the most important part of the story.
And what does the note show?
It shows the conflict Jimmy felt between friendship and duty.
Exactly. In your opinion, what part of the story do you think is the most important?
I'm saying the writer.
Oh, good. I see.